the most benevolent, the most merciful, the most advanced. How have we become what our past self saw? Not only was I born on this day, but every day of my life is about how the known conditions of reality are present in an unknown space. I have found a fascination to wonder about how have we become what our past self saw. As someone who has lived 34 years, which is 12,419 days, I want to comment on my experience in this lifetime and how we become what our past self saw, and how, even though we may make the moment insignificant, that we're just existing and we just have thoughts, or we have just a certain condition of access to reality, the mysteries of reality even go towards the unconditional. The true presence of life is beyond the human story of it. This cannot be ignored. I heard, I think it was yesterday, I was like scrolling on my reels on Instagram, and I remember hearing someone say, "You are what you thought about 5 years ago." It was like an Instagram reel in some video. Okay. And it was as profound of a moment when I had heard that sentence where they said, you are who you needed when you were younger. Like, who you are now is who you needed when you were younger, right? In the same way, that's profound as, like, okay, you are the thoughts you had 5 years ago, or in some sense. Now, this is the sentence. The sentence was like, okay, you're right now what you were thinking about 5 years ago. Like, that's what I heard. But I'm telling you, when you really look at that sentence, you wonder about, okay, how am I being what I was seeing 5 years ago? And it's not per se what you're seeing, it's a choice of state. This is what I've understood from this. So, what I want to tell people really, I guess on my 34th birthday lecture, it's not what we saw like in the outer realms or the inner realms that we become. It is the principal context to the moment we accept. I think we become what we were aware of. You see, to me, life, they make us think we're a noun and you're living a conditional reality. And in this conditional reality, there's like a certain linear way of acknowledging things. I'm saying the way our intelligence is happening is not accurate. Do you understand? Like what humans are doing, what our species has done is that it has acted different than nature, and we've been raised in a different world, and now we're looking at the natural world and we're wondering about the relationship of intelligence. And we're realizing that the human intelligence is an organizing factor. Okay, your intelligence doesn't just find meaning, it can generate meaning. You can find a work of art or you can create a work of art. Some people who are very smart and conscious, they live like every moment is a masterpiece. That to me, when I realize like that's, I think, what it means really to live as an artist. And when I think about it, I realize what's true is what I accepted. We don't think about this, but we don't know what we have subconsciously accepted. Carl Jung had this saying where he was like, unless you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. To me, it is all about connection of the most advanced state. Like this is what I'm trying to tell people. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, like the short term future, yes, long term future, no. Okay. However, I do see programs that are alive and I can see the direction of things, but I can see probabilities to it. You see, it's not, you cannot ignore it, the nature of this world. Okay? I don't know how people are living comfortably, but for me, I had a sort of OCD of feeling uncomfortable with the fact that it's still an unknown, like legit, it's an unknown place, guys. We are knowing it in a certain way, and it is so bizarre and so strange that we realize to be human means to be a certain state of consciousness. That's what it means to be human. But in the future, it will mean more than that. The idea of the human, the spirit of humanity, it's like pretty much there's a separation of values. To me, I feel that in this modern world, a person is getting access to so much information, and it's not like you can handle them all in one room. You see, the human mind has been provided and has been given so that reality that overwhelms you in front of your eyes is permitted to move differently behind your eyes. The advantage of the human conscious position, regardless of its expectation of its outcome or its consideration of identity with a pattern, the human intelligence is so advanced that it is capable of identifying with the quality of reality. Today, people's personality is based on the cultural program, but eventually it will be even reach a point when in the future it will be assigned to the celestial program. That means there's going to be humans on Earth in the future. Like this is a little bit, maybe it's, I don't know how to explain it, but pretty much they're just like how people, they identify with cultural, like human events. Like pretty much humanity means that our lives are all based on what we do on the surface of this planet, that we named and we gave it meaning, and then we continue to have experiences And to me, I was like, wait a minute, this is strange. They convinced me my whole life I was alone and it was just about me. Like legit, when if let's say you just teleported here into the world. Guys, I am telling you, to me, if you organize reality subjectively, every person has their own style. But I've noticed things to the degree that I have discovered dehumanized states of being. Okay, many of us have actually. Do you know? But we have to honor the human vision. We have to care for civilization. And for many nights, I wondered about how can we build an advanced civilization rather than just like, updating a misdesigned one. Do you know? That means if we could reset civilization, what would it look like? If we could update civilization, what would it look like? If civilization didn't update, we know what it looks like. The awareness of the human experience is about the management of form and information. To me, on some level, like let's say I just arrived on this planet and I just somehow could see human behavior, I would be very instantly capable of understanding that all of human value, like, let me tell you what it is like. It's like, it's like, we don't know where, it's like you're seeing, like, what's a great example I could say? This world can be classified into rooms, okay? You are conditioned and raised in this world. I'm not even joking. All of us were like this as concepts. And life is about making the decisions that actualize the concepts that we're told that we need to figure out. I am telling you that as someone who's lived 12,000 days, 12,000 times on this planet, I have logged in and logged out. Okay? So this means that you're listening to a being that has witnessed the expression of itself every day and has noticed there's a log in, log out gap and then log in, log out gap. Like, I do understand the rhythmic nature of the waking state. I am not ignorant of how we're a biological organism, and if we ignore the laws of nature, we're ignoring our own vitality. I do understand also that nature is a condition, and I understand that there's something within the human experience that cannot be bound to a condition. The greatest quality of humanity is the idea that we don't give up. Now, why is this idea very important? Why is it that in any culture, doesn't matter what culture, right, there has been the older generations looking at the younger generations and pretty much being like, don't give up, right? And it means that life is designed to be a system that exerts pressure. However, when you exert pressure, you can at least organize the type of pressure you receive. There are many ways that life happens, and for me, something that allowed my mind to breathe again, to think about reality, was the realization that humans are conditioned to assign the burden of the subjective world onto themselves. That means you don't enter this world and they're like, guys, there's no such concept as work. Everything is play, and so play. It's not a reality that in some sense welcomes you to find natural states. If you treat life as rooms and realize these rooms have a consciousness state signature, I'll give you an example. When I go talk to someone I'm bilingual, so when I go talk to somebody who speaks Farsi, like they're from Iran, okay, that's a different room. I am telling you, until compared to when I come and speak to someone in English, right? These are different rooms, meaning that the mind has an ability to reforge the context regardless of the concept it was a moment ago. So, what does that mean? That means in the geometry of the design of human consciousness, pretty much you're finding in one corner of the moment a biological body, in another corner, you're finding the edge of an edgeless world, and from another corner, you find your sight. And to me, you don't understand. The question is like, you can look at this world and look down on it, or you can look up to it and understand that existence is a gift when the other option was nothing at all happening. We are part of the intelligent occurrence of any activity in any realm. You guys don't understand. The divinity of the nature of man is the fact that there's anything moving in the cosmos. Now, intelligence is very key because we cannot ignore the geometrical position of existence, and however, we cannot ignore all the abstract probabilities and modalities that a value of a moment in front of our eyes can move in our inner realms. I am telling you, this whole time you've been branding yourself as your name and this character in a story, but you have been an unknown intelligence, believe it or not. And we humans have the capability of looking at an object in front of our eyes in a set of specific natural conditions, but behind our eyes, we can imagine flying cars that don't even exist yet. To me, I see a planet. The planet is the condition to all of our physical conditions. I see an ecosystem, and then I see the presence of the kingdom of humanity. The kingdom of humanity serves no living king or queen. In the outer realm, it serves the future generations that have not been born yet. That means that is the true monarchy of the human species. We are all the servants to the greatness of all of us. We cannot ignore this life. And life has this attitude of being like, hey, you don't know anything. You used to not exist. Do you know? You were born yesterday. Life has this attitude. But in reality, sorry guys, anyways, back to it. People are like, yo, he's so overjoyed by his birthday. All right, folks, seriously though, I got something to say, and it's very important, and I don't know how to say it, and I'm getting overwhelmed simply because it's so exciting to talk about this. I'm talking about how right now you're being your future self's memory. I'm talking about how you have existed the whole time. I'm talking about how you have considered where the edge of the world is. I'm talking about who has been looking through the mirror into your own eyes, and in some sense, what is the depth of human intelligence? Tell me if you feel that there is others out there that don't know what to do. Tell me if you feel that it's a human species and this is the best we have. And they're like, oh shit, I wish we didn't have, like, I don't know, elitist oligarchy, shadow oligarchy, or at the same time, you know, psychological, subliminal control systems, and it's like cultural programs engineered by God knows what sort of intent. And so you could look at this world and be like, I wish it was something else, but it can't, because this is the one you're given. This is the world you find yourself. And you have to ask yourself, in regards to what powers you consider to be at bay, what powers you consider to be present, what force does this world truly have, and what have you understood about it? What is the value of every human being you have seen? What is the value of all the human beings that have ever existed? And did you know, if you go and consider 300,000 years ago, where human beings kind of lifted their heads out of the ocean of an unconscious environment, like wilderness, 300,000 years ago, considering AI kind of says it's around 117 billion people. So 7% of all human beings that have ever existed exist now. You are one in 107 billion humans that have ever existed, and whatever you do in this life, your mistakes, your let's say corrections, your correctness, your mistakes, whatever. There will be thousands of millions, countless human beings born where they will live through these archetypes in their own ways, because this is the magnificence of life. You're invited to an event. To me, they're like, yo, man, what's your metaphysical view on how, in some sense, you open your eyes in this world, and I'm like, okay, man, nobody ever asked that, but sure. The truth is really that you try to contain it, you try to control it, you try to deep down at the back of your mind believe that this human body, this couple pound brain, this physical position is enough to contain the meaning of all of it. And then you realize it is too big. And you're like, man, they said knowledge is power, but the world is too big to really know. And so what do? You become a true scholar. For the first time, you realize it's not about knowing things. It's about all the things we don't know. It's not about what you're seeing. It's all the things you're not seeing. And wondering about what really is the true presence of life. That means the brilliance of the human mind has been capable of differentiating between the word epistemology and ontology, meaning that the true nature of something is different than how we interpret what it is, because we are limited to the filterization of being something in the first place. To me, I ask myself, why is the world moving this way? Why are there humans surviving? And in some sense, what visions move them? What is the purpose? If they're like Mr.Within, if your soul wanted a gift, on your birthday, what gift would you want? And I would say ever since becoming Muslim, I've kind of stopped expecting, because I consider the higher power knows best. I'm not even saying that as a cop-out. To me, in reality, all the things that I used to overthink and calculate are now in the jurisdiction of that which is beyond me. My whole life, I wanted to convince myself I was beyond myself. And then I realized at the point of it, midway through it, I was like, okay, it's not about you. It's not about the ideas you think that have to be true. It is about what is really there. And do you know what you find? Let me tell you what you find when you truly look at civilization. I wondered about it. I'm like, what is the core human state? Because it's legit, like every system has a core. You find the core, you can break or rebuild the system. Even in Chinese, like, I guess, metaphysics, they tried to cultivate a golden core. And people are like, is that an app workout? It's like, no, guys, no. It is about an ability. Life is not something that's just here and we're just here and we're just being for some time and it ends. The whole point of it is that not only in the future will all air travel be free, because the whole point of it is the value of an advanced human is more than the value of, like, billions of dollars. To me, it's about the activation of the human species towards its most possible advanced state. And I think it pretty much works like this. So, we, in the same way, like, one can make the argument that is the species united right now? And the answer is, in some ways, it is. We are all united, all of our blood is the same color red. You know what I mean? We all have the same, like, genetical design. Not the same DNA, but you know what I mean, like the same structure, the same format. Like if there was an alien standing beside a human, we could be like, okay, that's human, that's alien. Like even toddlers could even do that. So to be human is to be a certain position in reality. And so I'm noticing that people are just living as if their responsibility level is only in their own bubble. The issue of the world is not that it's the fault of, like, sometimes you can't even blame evil. You can't. It's like good is lazy and you're there like, yo man, is it evil's fault? It's like, no guys, stop looking for conspiracies when you forgot to open your eyes. The whole point of it is pretty much you become responsible for yourself, you become responsible for others, and then you realize the responsibility of the species. Who's going to be responsible for that? That means, who my friends among the human species are? Friends that I may never meet, but their souls are friends of mine. It's any soul that's been like, wait a minute. Of course, the easiest thing is to ignore it. It's easy to ignore a world that treated you bad. It is easy to, break the hearts of people you don't care for. But it is not easy It is about the presence of what was here at all. Guys, piano is legit such a next level instrument. And so, how does the moment really move? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. O human species, you're alive now. The conditions are known and unknown. You're living in the known sectors of civilization, and you must not fear the true presence of reality, for we are all here for some time, and the great task really is that everybody's been wondering, what am I here to do? And the clue is that you all have a different DNA, therefore you're a different antenna. And I think the true presence of life, that means if they tell me right now, like, what is the most advanced state of living, it's not like giving a podcast. The most advanced state of living is, in some sense, functioning as the true presence of civilization. I am, like, by giving these talks, living only truly in the mind of civilization. What is very fascinating is that from the beginning of my, like honestly guys, these talks may appear complex, but there's a simple being here as well. Like, in my simplicity, I remember when I was younger, my mother just kind of came to me and my twin brother and was like, guys, just be good people, be good kids, be good humans. But I remember she said that to both of us, and we loved and trusted our mother so much that we in some sense accepted and hugged her, right? But the thing was, years later, this moment was a beautiful memory, but then I kind of felt heartbroken because my mother had told me to be good in a world where the bad didn't care about the design or the quality of the good. And this is the strangeness of the system. And it's like, how can you be good in a bad world? Then the only notion is we have to figure out what good truly is. Why is it that savageness is more important than civility? Why, in the era of intelligent communication, humans still are violent physically? Right now, my awareness to life, it's not like it's shifted to a viewpoint that can't die. To me, I realize where my attention goes, my soul circles. And so it is a decision of life. It is the quality of our decision. It is the faith in our vision. It is how far we're aware of and how far we can go. It is to realize, like, hear this from like someone who's really an overthinker but who's managed to tame his own overthinking. I will tell you, it's as simple as, at first you think you're part of a system, you think you're in a position in the system, then you realize your mind is acting as a field of awareness to all the thoughts and moments you've ever been. So what you are, yes, visibly a physical biological organism, but the capacity and capability of your intelligent activity renders you not just a physical being. And I can prove to you, I can legit right now prove to you, like, sure, see, like, I say today is my birthday. I was legit like born December 17, 1991. You know, I think I was born on a symmetrical year, and I think I'll probably leave on a symmetrical year. But I don't know. To me, my heart knows that it's just like I have a part of my ego has been I understand how much more there is, more than any meaning I have simulated over reality. And so I find myself in a moment that, yes, from one angle, like, how do I say it? It's like, first, heaven and hell are locations. I believe them to be locational in the outer realms as well. But in the inner realms, heaven and hell is where your attention went, that gave you an option of what to decide, and then what decision gave you an option of what consequence. Like, it's very obvious at some point. Do you know, my strategy to life, I think, even when I look back at my whole life, has been kind of like being in a museum and not touching things, not touching the stuff on the museum, and rather just watching something from a distance rather than establishing a direct identity. I think the biggest problem with even communication on a civilizational scale is that human beings are conditioned to assign the most important value as themselves. Therefore, they're rendering themselves to take everything personal. You see, this is the problem when everybody treats reality as real, because everybody's reality is different. To me, it is about how advanced the vision of humanity can be. To me, it's legit, like in front of my eyes. It's fascinating. It's like what's the difference between the inner realms and the outer realms? In the inner realms, in the outer realms, it's a physical reality. Like, for example, if you, let's say you meet someone in front of your eyes, is very different than, let's say, meeting an intelligence behind your eyes. You understand? You are right now the awareness, you know, to the moment. You're like the moment's whole awareness. But at the same time, your body is found within this awareness. So you're conditioned to think you're what's in the moment. I'm telling you, you're the awareness of the moment even before you speak or act or do anything. You know, before you move, you've already moved. That's how our minds work. To me, because God is all-knowing, through the theological lens, because God is all-knowing, God excuse me. Ooh. Theologically, God is all-knowing, which means anything that happens in its creation, it already knows. Because God knows everything, God doesn't have a purpose for the creation in the way that humans can understand. You see, to me, it's all about what's in the world room. Do you know? I have found the value in life being everywhere. Let me tell you an experience that made me, I realized my whole life I've lived like a Muslim, but it doesn't mean not sinlessly. I actually, the reason I believe there's a system admin is because I had an experience, but I think this lecture should be on, here, I'll say it this way, guys. For my birthday, I want to gift the moment, just what I see in my inner realms. And I guess the gift is just having an opportunity to communicate in cyberspace. But I'm saying, like, if you start from this perspective that, all right, it's a box, what do we have inside the box? In the box of our awareness, through the human experience, the joys of living require an unknown factor. The mercy of the system admin was to bring us into the created position. In 2023, certain experiences happened for me, but I remember there came a day where I was like, God, give me a sign. I prayed, and after I prayed, I opened the Holy Quran, and this exact passage came that All the signs are there. It is you who do not see. And I realize the depth of what the submission to the system admin. To me, God is the greatest idea. You don't understand. It's pretty much, if you're someone who's been looking for the advanced, God is the most advanced state. Pretty much it's the idea, the view that the moment of existence began from an original cause. There's an original being. It's like in an original place we've simulated in a simulation. That means even in the Holy Quran, everything returns to the system admin. It is very fascinating, and if humanity treats everything as real, it will be emotionally divided. To me, life has become way more like I understood life when I asked myself, okay, I've been acting like everything is real, everything is true, this existence is like existence is it. But then I looked at the actuality and I was like, if I was to fast forward my life like a film, my body would not be here. The attention asking the question may not be here. All the forms and phenomena, like everything I see around me right now, in couple thousand years, all these areas are going to be different. Do you know? Like, I don't know if nations are going to become mega cities. I don't know. But I'm telling you, it's a very advanced idea to consider that our efforts as humans has been to utilize our knowledge to live in more advanced and efficient ways. Ladies and gentlemen, every concept in existence, it has an expressor. Okay? The idea of Mr. Within is an archetype, and it more than it is me being Mr. Within, it's a role that I am playing inside a civilizational simulation. Life is about our attention to it and our grace in the presence of the superior grace. For me, the most important thing is for humans to have a relationship with the system admin, with God. The most important thing is that. How far has the eyes of your species opened? What is the exact position? And if souls are born that care for the strategy, you see, like I've met people that they don't care about the future. Like they seriously don't. They're like, I don't have the time to care about the future, man. Too busy surviving. And I'm like, then what are you surviving for? Every person I know is like, I don't want to use this terminology, but most people, let me say, are occupied by their future self. You're working for who you can see yourself to be. They're like, okay, what path do you want to take in life? That just legit means, what did you notice? What sectors of an unknown realm unlocked and opened for you? And that's where you will find your talent, where the deepest visions allow you to meet the unknown. Like legit, on this planet, we're inside a room. There's an unconditional being beyond the room, aware of everything inside the room. There's conditional entities inside the room, and inside the room appears conditional, but the room appears so big we can't see the edge of the room. So we are limited to human perception conditions. And that is the starting point. You got to start thinking like a species, and then different views on like advanced views on reality unlock. I'm telling you, the secret to genius and greatness is to become responsible for worlds that you only see, that only you can walk in. And then, if you are a kind soul, you serve the species. That means, if imagine right now you became the best person like you could, we'd be like, man, look at this guy. He served himself like he's 100%. Give him a A plus, in like being responsible for himself. Okay, now this guy's a family man. All right, give him a A plus in being responsible for his family. Oh my God, he's like being responsible for like the community and the nation and all this. Give him an A plus. But then when it comes, is this person being responsible for what we are all being? Look in the mirror and tell me, what do you see? And if the answer is the human species, why have you not cared for the honor of the human odyssey, the legacy, the greatness of the human legacy? What will happen to us? That means the species has unlocked, let's say, the communication server. It has, we have, like, how do I explain it? It's a performance. Every moment of your life, you are performing in the presence of all of it. And even beyond it. So pretty much 34 years, we're inside a box. We see what's inside the box. We are outside of the box. We can't fathom. This is the Mr. Within's box of existence analogy. Life is a box. We're in it. We don't see outside of it. At some point, we will go outside of it. But right now, we're inside this system. This system has certain conditions. Behind our eyes, we see advanced updates to the conditions in front of our eyes. And it seems like we must play a role and bring it about. We must care about human potential. We must care about the most advanced state. We must care about our true nature. And the true nature of humanity is that we are too silly and lovable to go extinct as beings. Legit, the gods are like, yo, these humans, there's humans doing effed up stuff. Imagine, hilariously. Not imagine, like in actuality, like on this planet, there's a lot of like shadow, dark, effed up stuff happening. And then there's like regular, like modern, normal stuff happening, right? And pretty much there's savage humans and there's civilized humans, but because in our civility we have displayed the potential of true civility, if humanity has not gone extinct, in the same way humans realize they are not their egos. Civilization and advanced civilization is not just the meaning you give to it or you extract from it. An advanced state means we are wondering about self-unfathoming, an unfathomable state of self. Like, if I was to fathom the most advanced state of being of myself, and if I was to fathom 8 billion, legit, if I like I'm going to decide this actually, I'm as if right now, we don't, in front of my eyes, I don't see an advanced civilization. I see one behind my eyes, but the people on the planet, what other choice do I have? Then it's like, rather than it's like bringing the best out of them or the worst out of them, it's like, forget that duality. It is all about, what do we care for? The most advanced state. What are we doing? The most advanced thing. What are we being? The most advanced being. Now, when I say most advanced, sorry, when it comes to being, we're in the presence of it. We are not the most advanced being. We are in the presence of the most advanced system of being, in the sense that there was an original being, an original moment, poetically even an original earth, an original life, an original world, an original life. And right now we are in a simulation of life. I don't know if there's other simulations. In the Holy Quran, it says, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, all praise due to the Lord of the worlds. That means God truly knows the unseen architecture of whether there are parallel lives. Like, that means, like, I don't know if my imagination is me, like, getting to see my parallel lives, or if in some sense, if it's a parallel life, or if it's just in this life being simulated as another life. The nature of the mind is very fascinating, but the ability to discriminate and just know, I think this is the art of living, that how much of life am I generating into meaning, am I generating the meaning of, and how much of it has a meaning beyond my ability to comprehend. That's the true humility. You're in the presence of not just an edgeless, unknown world, and you're in the presence of the original power. That means it's like an original truth is the power that is administering the simulated meaning. Therefore, we find ourselves as one of the conscious commands of the system admin. It is, it's like the true realization of the honor of life. We are not in the presence of just known conditional factors and variables. We're in the presence of unknown and unconditional states. You're not just standing in a world. You're standing in a world you don't know. And, to me, this is the very strange thing. My body was born, but when I go back to my earliest memories, it was like I logged in. It's like, imagine the soul is running at a certain speed, and the body needs to get to that speed for it to notice that the soul has always been there running at that speed. But when I say that poetically, I mean in the sense of it's a field of activity. That means if somebody says, hey, what is beyond physical existence, like natural physical existence, I will say you'll discover a field of divine commands. That's the source code. The source code is you're in a commanded universe. That means it has nothing to do with logic. It has nothing to do with expected karma or cause and effect. It is a system that has, its logic is not understandable because it's commanded. It's as if which came first, the chicken or the egg? No, the moment of both of their existence, their whole moment's existence was commanded into being. Do you understand? That means the nature of reality is, at first you're like, yo man, what are these beings doing on a planet? And then when you try to wonder about the most advanced state of, like, when you talk to people or see them, it's legit like, what is the command of their soul? I see it. Sometimes I see it. Sometimes I see a soul, and I see, like, how do I see it? I see a person, and I don't know how I know it. I just feel like there's a divine command. Or sometimes I go into a moment and I feel it. Like, okay, something's going to happen right now. And suddenly, like, a door slams to the wall or something. You know what I mean? So I'm telling you, not in the sense like somebody walks in slamming the door or something. I'm saying it's that you can feel that. Yes, to us, it's like, oh my God, a new day. But on another level, it is the behavior or the expression of a field of activity, which means that the position of the human idea is an emergent state, which means that the context is not limited to one context, so one description can define what the human is. Whereas advanced as we realize, we notice the unknown. That means your known self can be judged. Your known self can be rise or fall, but your unknown self is the awareness to all of it that you have been, and you may wonder about what the nature of your being is, and you're going to realize life becomes magnificent when not you're standing in a meaningless empty room or cosmos, but you're standing in the presence of the most significant act a conscious entity can do, to wonder about beyond its own reality. When you wonder about your own eyes, and they're like, yo, what does that mean? That means, imagine the simulation of existence was eclipsing you from the true nature of reality. That the ranking system in Alam al Arwa, the world of souls before all souls were born in the womb, there was a ranking system. And as you live this life, you begin to notice and get a sense of the rank of your own soul. You get a sense of the rank of your own abilities and capabilities. And this rank is not understandable by you, but think of it this way. If right now we're an unknown life force moving a life form that is identifying as a certain in a certain known way, that unknown life force is not an individual soul, because a soul was a commanded existence in the presence of all that existed. But the difference of the human soul to all other creation of reality, if you pay attention, God had created angels out of light. Theologically, through the Islamic lens, God created angels. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created angels out of light, created jinn kind out of a smokeless flame, and created man out of clay. So we are, even celestially, we are a class of divine creation, okay, of the Creator's creation. We're a certain class of a being, okay. Now, what is the difference between the human class and the jinn class and the angel class? Okay, the difference is angels are beings that cannot make mistakes. They're the perfect people. Excuse me, not perfect people. They're the most perfect, unmistakable. They're the archetype of how sinless a person can be. And jinn, and let's say the lower archetype, like demons or whatever, like that's in some sense the opposite. How sinful an entity can be, how ignorant an entity can be of divine command, and how conscious an entity can be of divine command. God created the worser version or the better version. Man was created as a different version. We were not created to be the best, to act like the best, or act like the worst. We were created to have a relationship with the system admin. So was the jinn kind as well. So as all beings do. The angels just already know it unmistakably. That means angels can be the incarnation, or excuse me, the manifestation of faith.